Alright everybody, I wanted to show you how to change the look of the dragon and how just a lot of the options with that. So I decided to do it with the blacksmith demo because right now I'm really liking this demo. Earlier today I brought the dragon in for the first time and I really enjoyed the results. So I'm going to bring in the dragon demo onto the bridge here. The dragon demo has some scripts on that will help us in the texturing process. So these scripts will match everything to the body. I am going to, however, turn off a couple of the options, the match ridges to body, match armor skin to body. I'm going to turn those off. So I'm going to turn these on. They do run in the editor, so it can slow down the process a little bit. So you really only want them on when you're actually managing the texture colors. So we'll turn these on now. Alright, and because we have 3 different heads, I'm actually going to make 3 different dragons. Now the background is the way I like it. So for each of these I'm going to turn off some of the options. Alright, so now let's start adjusting some stuff with the body. So let's select the body material here. Now I'm going to select it in the project, not the scene, because I don't want to show the wire mesh. I'm going to go over the main stuff really. So the body, just change the hue by sliding this around. As with all of our stuff, the first time you move it, it will take a brief moment, but usually after that it speeds up. You should notice shortly after we change that, the heads and the tails will change, and that's because we've got that helper script updating it to match. So you can change the color to pretty much whatever you want. That's a nice look right there. I like that. I can dig that. So let's move on to the next one. Let's check out the underside now. The underside is, of course, the underside of the dragon. You can do the same things where you change the hue, saturation, and lightness and contrast. And that could work well for you. But I want to show you what the overlay color does. So we're going to bring these back to 0.5 and 0.5, which is their default. And let's make an overlay color that's obnoxious, like bright green. And we're just going to bring up the overlay blend. Looks like that was already up. I had that set up from earlier when I was doing screenshots. Usually this is defaulted to 0, so we're going to bring this up all the way to 1. And that's basically going to replace the color completely with this solid color green. This overlay AO mixes the ambient occlusion in with the green. If you bring it down, you're going to get a much more flat look. If you're looking for more cartoonish looks, you want to remove the AO most likely, or perhaps like a toy on a toy shelf. You could easily make these look like plastic toys or something. For most purposes, you'll want to keep it up though. It does add to the dynamic look of the creature. So that's a little bright, and it's also the wrong color. So let's see what other colors we can do. That'll work. I kind of like that. So we'll keep that right there. Next, let's look at the wings. Now the underwing can be done separately from the overwing, but if you keep this checkbox clicked here, then they'll match each other, so you only have to do them once. So let's look at these wings here. Something like that. Now, roughness shift, this again is left over from earlier. The roughness controls how much reflection you get here. The more rough something is, the less reflection you get. So if we shift this up really high, it won't reflect light much at all. And if we bring it down, it'll reflect a lot of light. Generally, you want to keep it somewhere in the middle. Our default will always be 0 in this regard, but we can bring this down a little bit, making it a little bit more shiny if we wanted to. So let's move on from the wing. And let's deal with the heads now. We can come back for the dirt. And of course you can do the claws and the mouth and the teeth and all that, but we're going to ignore that for now because it's a little too specific. So let's deal with the heads. First let's do head C, which is this one with the fins right here. So head C, we're not going to change the body or the underside right now. Those won't actually be able to be changed. None of these can be changed because they're matched to the body. But we can, however, change the fins, the hue, the bone. We're going to ignore the eyes, mouth, and teeth and all that for now too. So the fins are these back here. Actually, I think the fins are matched to the back fins. Is that right? Yep. So it snaps back. So we can't do the fins here. Instead, we're going to do the bone, which is these two bones right here. Again, the hue, saturation, lightness, contrast, the standard stuff there. But we can also add an overlay blend, which I think might be a better look for this if we want to change it at all. That might be good for your project. I personally like it without being changed, so we're not going to. We're going to leave it there. Now let's switch the fins. Since the back fins here control the head fins, let's just change those as well. So let's select the SFB Dragon Fins material. And again, I'm selecting them here in the project so that I don't see the wireframes on the mesh itself. If you ever see this happen, it's because Unity is rebuilding that texture. It's slightly annoying. It's supposed to get faster in the future. Alright, so here's the fins. Again, we're going to ignore the special effects and just deal with these fins themselves. Let's do a hue shift and see what happens when we start changing the color. There's a slight bug in the overlay color on the fins. That will be fixed in time for release. So let's skip on for that to head B. And of course you can change the spikes and the carapace on the back of the dragon here and the tails. We're not going to go into that because I'm sure by now you understand the concept. You can adjust all the stuff on the tail, the highlights underneath, the carapace, and the ends as well. And now let's look at the environmental effects. But now that you've set up a dragon that you kind of like and you kind of want to use in your game, maybe you're going to have different color dragons, different type of dragons, and maybe players can choose the different types that they want to use and all that. You don't want to use this material in your game. It's probably going to crash your system, will definitely crash on mobile. It's not going to work. These are not meant for runtime operation, so they are meant instead to be exported into a standard shader material, and we've made that kind of easy. As long as you have the top material here selected in your window menu, it's called Save Texture, or you can use Command-Shift-T. And what this does is exports all the maps for that material and creates a new standard shader material and installs those maps on the material, so you don't actually have to do all that manually. It does take a little while for your computer to basically pump out the maps and do all the processing, but aside from right here clicking export here, aside from that, it's a one-step process. You don't actually have to do anything else. The body will take longer than the other parts. The other parts will be kind of fast. Generally, the way I would approach this is I'd set up the model with 3 different models just like I did now, so I can see what they all look like. Then I would export all of the maps. Even if I don't think I'm going to use some of them in my game, I'd still export it just in case. Unity, of course, will strip out the stuff you don't use, so it's not going to affect your game itself if you have a little extra maps. So you're going to want to do that. I'm going to speed through. You're going to want to do that for all of these, and they'll just one by one import, and a new folder for each one will be put in here with a timestamp on it. Alright, in the interest of time, I only exported the ones I need for this one dragon. So we're going to actually close those ones out for now. Now we have our materials here. I'll bring this down, I'll give it a side a little bit, expand it out so you can see them. They are named and time-stamped. That way you can keep them organized, and the ones you do at first will come in at first. Now I'm just going to rename this body blue, and then we'll name this, actually we'll go blue fins. That way I keep them organized in my own head. Let's bring these over. If you expand these out, you'll see that the dragon body material here has all its maps. You can ignore the Z metallics and Z roughness maps. We don't actually use those in the game. If you want to use them for another purpose, go right ahead. But in game we use the metallic roughness. That goes in the metallic, and that includes the roughness value in the alpha of the metallic. So let's just bring this onto the body, and we're going to bring the height down there. I don't like using the height map, and if you really want to, you can actually remove the height map altogether if you can have it all the way down. And lastly, tail A goes on the tail. Now, this is a bug in Unity, this look of where it's kind of not at all what it's supposed to be like. If you select each of these, just expand the material, it'll fix itself instantly. It's just a bug that Unity has at this point. Now, if you notice one issue here, and this is always a potential with our system, and it's unfortunate, but we can't quite make it work properly yet. The head here doesn't look right. That's because it actually took the regular metallic instead of the metallic roughness map. So if you get something like that in your stuff, just drag the metallic roughness over and it will fix it right up. Just double check that the tail didn't have the same thing. I think it did. So now you've got a standard shader dragon ready to be used in game, and there's a lot you can do with it. That was only one look. The dragon does take a little bit longer to set up than the other characters because there are so many materials and so many different options with all the different heads. Totally worth it in the end, so that you'll end up having a dragon that doesn't look like anyone else's dragon, and that really matches really well with the look and feel of your game, whether you're going for more dark and sinister dragons or for more playful toy-like dragons. It's a huge deal when you're making a game, of course, to have the dragon that matches your game, the characters that match your game. So hopefully we find that we help you do that. If you have any questions, please let us know on the forums or email. If you have any problems, please let us know on the forums or email so we can fix them. If you love it, you should review it so other people know and we can get more sales, and more sales means we can afford to make more cool assets for you to use in your games. If nothing else, let us know what you'd like to see next so we can focus on things you guys actually want to use. Alright, have a great day, everybody.